Hi, I'm Michelle Renee Hyatt of American Quilters Society, and we are at AQS Paducah Quilt Week. And we are in the small quilts first entry category, and that is sponsored by YLI. I have the pleasure of being with Holly Batterman, who this was her first entry, and we are in front of her being thankful for sunflowers.
For sunflowers.
For sunflowers. Now, Holly, talk to me a little bit about this quilt. It started off as a guild challenge, correct?
Yeah. So I'm in a guild called the Beach Cities Quilters Guild in Mission Viejo, California. And they have a tea-in tour, which includes a quilt challenge. And the theme was being thankful. So I just came up with this quilt. Of course, it has to have a bee in it.
So it started with the bee charm.
Yeah.
But you had to use a charm.
Right. So you had to include 2 charms, a bee charm and a flower charm, a piece of twine, and 3 fabrics. And you had to have a hexagon somewhere in the quilt.
And was there a size limitation, or could you do any size that you wanted?
I think it was any size. It was probably a minimum size.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you chose fabrics from your stash. Is that correct?
Yes, it was great.
To use them up?
Yeah, I did. I did have to buy some white fabric, but you can always have a little extra white
It's
fabric.
really beautiful.
Thank you.
So what inspired you for this design? So you had certain elements you had to use, but then you made it your own.
Right. Well, we have a community garden near where I live, and in the summer there's like tons of giant sunflowers, and there's bees all over. So I thought, okay, I'll do sunflowers. So I took photographs of the sunflowers, and I blew them up and cut them out and kind of arranged them until I liked them. And I drew the bee, and then, the rest is history.
And then how did you quilt them down? Was it machine applique or?
So it's feasible applique. And then I just did free motion quilting on a stationary quilting machine.
Okay. So you took second place in this category. Congratulations. Now, so you are going away with one of the coveted dogwood ribbons.
Yeah.
So only here at Paducah Quilt Week do we give your ribbon with a dogwood on it. So you drove all the way from Laguna Beach, California.
Yes. 2,000 miles to come here.
Now, you had that planned once you made it as a semifinalist. Is that correct?
Right.
And so instead of driving, you just chose to drive. And have you made any interesting stops along the way?
Yeah, well, my husband wanted to drive, and we have a little dog. So we started in Laguna Beach, and of course, our first stop was Winslow, Arizona. And we stood on the corner of Winslow, Arizona, actually with the man who, the artist that did the sculpture, he happened to be there.
Oh, that's funny.
So that was fun. And we spent a couple of days in Albuquerque, Amarillo, Texas.
And how many quilt shops did you hit on the way?
A few. I did.
The girls got a shop.
I did go to a few. I did help our local quilt shops across the country. Yeah.
I love that. And so what inspired you to enter to take a shot and enter at AQS Quilt Week Paducah?
Well, I've always wanted to come here, and I thought I would submit it. And if it got in, it was also a really good excuse for us to drive across the country to see our good friend Beth, who just moved here from California.
So that's excellent.
Yeah.
Would you give any advice to anyone who's on the fence with thinking about entering?
I think you should just do it. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's why I tell my friends. I have a lot of friends who go, oh, my quilts are... I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, some of these women and men have some amazing quilts. So just go for it, and your quilt might get accepted to a show, and you might win a ribbon.
Exactly. You don't know, right? Unless you try.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing this quilt with us. We greatly appreciate it, and it is beautiful. Congratulations. So, as Holly says, just do it. What are you waiting for? You can't win if you don't enter. So you can find out all the details for our contest at AmericanQuilter.com. The 2026 rules are up and ready for you to review, and we hope that you will submit your quilt to us.